guys, my name's Kelsey and welcome back to my channel, Ruffalo Reads. As you can see by the title, today we're here to do our June wrap up. This month was a little bit of a slower month for me. I only read 9 books. Typically I like to try to read at least 10, but it got a little hectic, you know how it goes with kids and life and everything else. So today I'm gonna run through the 9 books that I read this month, give you my star rating and what I thought of them, and let's just go ahead and get into it. First book I want to talk about, which I gave 5 stars. It's one of my favorite books of the year. I've talked about it multiple times, I feel, and that is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. So this is a dark romance. There's trigger warnings for rape, torture, abuse, so just please know that going in. So this follows our 2 main characters, Dean and Cora. So Dean is Cora's sister's fiance. They're out one night for Cora's birthday, I believe. They're drinking at a bar. Dean and his fiance, her sister, leave at a certain point, and Cora decides to stay. There's a creepy guy there outside when she's going to leave that's like kind of leering and being just, you know, generally creepy. And she calls her sister, she calls her friends, everybody sends her straight to voicemail other than Dean. So he comes to pick her up. This creepy guy outside is like, "Oh, is that your woman?" And he's like, "Hell fuck no." And that guy ends up running them off the road and kidnapping them. So this guy is super fucked up and twisted. So he gets people and kidnaps them, like 2 people of the opposite gender, opposite sex rather, and makes them do unspeakable acts to each other, forces himself to do unspeakable acts to the women, and kind of makes them form this bond before he kills them. He is a serial killer. So like I said, this book is extremely dark. And I will say that before I went into this, I watched a couple reviews, and a lot of the reviews that I did see said that the kidnapping part and the part where they're in this guy's basement dungeon, whatever you want to call it, were only a minimal part of it, and that the majority of the book was them like dealing with the aftermath and how they come out from that. I will say that it lasted way longer than I was led to believe and that I expected. That part is dark. It's very hard to read. It's very triggering. For me, that stuff's hard to read. So it was a good, I would say 25 to 30% of the book was them being captured. Like, it was not quick. So anyways, there's a very sweet thing within this trauma that they're experiencing, and that is that Dean is kind of ever present. He's there for Cora in unforgettable ways, and it's not something that you can come out of this and just shake off. Like, they literally think they're gonna be, you know, murdered and fed to this guy's dogs. So while they're in there, they reveal secrets to each other. They, you know, end up forming this bond. They hated each other prior to this. Like, Dean always kind of messed with Cora, and he thought it was all lighthearted and in jest, and she was like, wow, this guy's such an asshole. Meanwhile, he really had uncovered feelings for her all along. So after this traumatic event, spoiler alert, I guess, they do get out. I mean, obviously it's a romance, so I think that we could all see that they're gonna get out. And it's the aftermath. It's him going back to her sister and figuring that out, because obviously, you know, they're not meant to be. And things come to light with that, so I'm not gonna say that trigger warning. You can look up more if you need to, but they obviously aren't meant for each other. Cora is very reliant on Dean, especially when they first come out, because she's been very reliant on him when they were in there. She has to kind of go through her own character development, where she has to learn how to be okay with herself. So that's a beautiful part of it. And then they come together in the end, obviously, and it's just powerful, beautiful, moving. If you're okay with these triggers, I would highly, highly recommend Jennifer Hartman and Still Beating. All right, so next book on my list that I read this month was Real by Kennedy Ryan. This cover is absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. Kennedy Ryan writes beautiful, beautiful love stories, and this was no exception. So star rating, I gave this book 4 stars. I really, really loved it. It wasn't perfect for me, but I really loved it. So this book deals with a Hollywood romance between a director and his actress. He's had a prior bad experience in a relationship that was kind of public with an actress, so he has that kind of to work through on his end. It's Grump Sunshine. He's grumpy, she's the sunshine, and it also deals with chronic illness, which is really great to see. I know that a lot of people look for that in their books. Like they want to see some representation there. So this follows Neva and Cannon. So Cannon's friend that's in the industry kind of finds Neva at a, not underground, but like Broadway, like a lower type thing than like Hollywood. And he takes Cannon to go watch her performance, and Cannon is like blown away. He's like, I definitely want this girl to be the lead in my movie that I'm writing. The movie you also get to see scenes from, and it kind of parallels with the story that's being written in the narrative, which is really beautiful to see, because that's also a love story. It's kind of a forbidden love story, a forbidden historical love story. So Neva hides her chronic illness from Cannon and from everybody because she doesn't want to be treated differently. She doesn't want to miss out on her opportunity for something this huge. She has a lot of familial issues that she's dealing with her mother and her sister. So he hires her on to be the lead actress, and things start from there. They obviously have this roaring attraction for each other. Neva is more upfront about it sooner than Cannon is. They kind of eventually get together. They hide it at first until they're ready to bring it out in the public. But what happens is Neva's health takes a serious decline, and she needs something, which I won't spoil, but she needs something very badly or else she probably will die. She has had a very tumultuous relationship, like I said, with her mom and sister, and there's a beautiful kind of story arc as well with them where their sisters come back together and come back into each other's lives. And that was beautiful to see. It was beautiful to see how Cannon kind of stood up and stood out for his woman once he realized that he loved her as much as he did and wanted to protect her. He wanted to be there for her. It was just very beautiful, and I would highly recommend if you like a kind of Hollywood romance. All right, next book on my list is Ruthless Creatures, and this book I gave a 5-star. Looking back, there's a second book in this series called Carnal Urges, which is truly, truly, truly a 5-star. I freaking love that book so much. This one, I feel like I gave it a 5-star on Goodreads, so that's why I'm saying it's a 5-star, but I feel like it's more on the 4.5 because it wasn't as amazing to me as Carnal Urges. Ruthless Creatures is a mafia book. It's a first book in the series. It follows Natalie and Cage. So Natalie is very depressed at the start of this book. She's just heavily drinking because it's the anniversary of her fiance disappearing. There's a lot of things to uncover throughout the novel with her fiance and that whole thing, but she feels a loss, but she can't fully feel the loss and move on because he's just missing. It's not like his body was found or he died or anything. So she's very she's grieving, but she can't move on from it. So while she's out, there's a guy named Cage who turns out to be in the Russian mafia. It was actually sent to kill her. So she keeps kind of thwarting his efforts to kill her. He ends up by falling madly in love with her. But before that, he's just like, wow, this chick is so odd. Like, I can't kill her. She's too cute. She's too silly. Like, I need to be around her and get to know her more. I need to protect her from all these people who probably will come after her once they realize that I'm not killing her. So this follows their journey, their relationship. I'm not going to get too much into the plot because I really think that you have to read it. The next book on my list is a novella by Rilsey Adams. It is Go Deep. I gave this book 3 stars. It was okay. It was a friends to friends with benefits to lovers. It was a miscommunication trope. It was pretty good. I don't know. I didn't fully connect with it like I wanted to, unfortunately. This follows Nevaeh. She's an erotic novella writer, actually. She's in kind of like a dry spell, so to say, with her writing and with her personal endeavors. She hasn't been getting some. Night with her kind of childhood best friend. They've been friends forever. They're like smoking weed and drinking and just having a fun time. And she's like, listen, I need to get dick down, so to say, and re-spark my creative, juices into writing these erotic novels. Like, I'm not having any fun experiences lately, so how could I write about them? So Xander is her best friend who she enlists. At first he's like, girl, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not doing that. Like, that's crazy. I don't have a an attraction for you. Like, I don't see you that way. And then he's kind of sitting back thinking about it. His guy best friend is like, dude, like, you guys clearly love each other and have forever. Like, you're ruining every relationship that you've ever had for her. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what the hell everybody's talking about. But so it takes him a while to, like, you know, see that that's true for them, that they actually do love each other. They have explosive, sexy times. It's amazing. So yeah, if you want a quick, easy read with a lot of steam, a lot of smut, a lot of, I guess, cuteness, friends to lovers vibes, I would pick this one up. Next book is my favorite, Carnal Urges. I love it so much. This follows, oh, sorry, let me say the things about it first. So it's 5 stars. I've said that. I say it again and again. It's a captor-captive romance. So it follows Sloane from the first book, who we love her. We love to see it. She is so spunky, fun. She's a badass bitch. She's a kale-loving, yoga-loving, a fiercely loyal friend to Natalie. She gets captured by our hero, Declan, who is a Irish mobster. So he's kind of feuding, warring, you know, with the guy from the first book, because he's in the Russian mafia. So she's kind of being captured, and as she's being captured, she's just kind of like combative with him, like not like giving in, not showing her weakness of being scared, because she's not. She's like, you know, what are you doing? Like, you're so silly. Like, this is hilarious. And he's just like, what? He's like, I'm capturing you. And she's like, okay. It's just too great for words. Like, they're literally being shot at, and she's just like, dude, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing anything? It's too much. She also like flips his men to like be on her side and like do things for her. They have some hot ass sex. We'd love to see it. So if you want to try a mafia romance, I would try this series. This book in particular is just so freaking good. There's so much like plot and things going on. It's really fast paced, easy to read through. Sloane is just so lovable as a character. I literally don't know how you could not absolutely love her. I would pick it up. I think J.T. Geisinger is such a good mafia romance writer. Next book on my list, I'm really sad about. It's Snowstorm by Cassie Mint. I've read a few of Cassie Mint's novellas. She's a really talented novella writer. I really loved Coldwood and the ice skating one. Dang it, I can't remember what the ice skating one's called. This book, I am sadly giving 1 star. I absolutely didn't find a singular redeemable thing about it. And I literally don't remember anything. All I wrote in my notes is that I don't remember what this was about. And it was so boring. Love Cassie Mint though. Love her other novellas. So I would try those rather than this. Next book on my list is another 5 star. I feel like I had, you know, I had a mixture, but like pretty good like reading month, I'd say. So it was The Mistake. I freaking love this book. So the first book I liked a lot, but this one was just top notch for me. It's so good. This is the number 2 in a series. It's a new adult hockey romance. It follows John Logan and Grace Ivers. This is one of the books that has a virgin heroine, which I am growing to highly dislike. It's just, I think I've read it so much that I'm like, are we still doing this? Can we have a heroine that enjoys sex, please? Like, I don't need my heroines to all be virgins. Like, but this book does it well. So there's that. So how this book starts, it follows John Logan from the first book. So I feel like I've read a lot of books where it follows the female characters from each book, but this one follows the men, like all the hockey guys in this, you know, team. Yes, team. So John Logan's pining after the girlfriend Hannah from the first book in the start of this book. He's pining after Hannah. So he's been, you know, being a little bit of a man whore, so to say. He's been going out a lot, hooking up with a lot of random people, not connecting with anybody because he really just thinks that he, like, loves Hannah. So how this book starts is Grace's roommate invites her and, like, kind of convinces her to go out to this frat party. John Logan is there at the party. She's always like, she knows who he is. She's always found him really attractive. He is coming out of the bathroom, zipping up his fly after his latest sexual encounter, I guess. And he catches sight of her and they kind of lock eyes and he just like does this like sly little grin and like zips his fly up and walks away. That's how they first meet. How they actually meet though is his friend is like trying to convince him to get out of the house, get away from Hannah, like let's move on, let's do something. And he sends him to his other friend's dorm for like a party, but he goes to the wrong place, and it's actually Grace's dorm that he gets to, and she opens the door and she's like, hello. She's currently watching like Die Hard in the background, like some, you know, like a action movie, and he's like, oh cool. Like, I love that movie. So he's trying to call an Uber, I think, but I think it's like a snowstorm, so no one's like answering, or no one can do it right now or something. And she's like, hey, you want to just like watch this movie with me? They kind of end up by hooking up, not the full thing, if you know what I mean, but some things go down, and Grace isn't honest about some things, and Logan feels a way about it. He ends up by coming back later and being like, listen, you're going to actually enjoy yourself. After this happens, John kind of like, well, we refer to him as Logan in the book. Everybody's like refers to everybody by their middle names. I don't know. So Logan kind of bolts right away after, and like doesn't anything continue on, doesn't like hear Grace out or like hang out or anything. He's just kind of like rude and weirdly just like leaves, and she's like, what the hell was that? Turns out to be that he freaked out because he feels like he is conflicted because he loves Hannah, supposedly in his mind. So they kind of take a back seat for a second, and then they are kind of hanging out, seeing each other. I think she's helping him with stuff, and you know, something happens to where things kind of blow up, and he's like, I can't keep doing this with you. I'm conflicted. I like feel like I have feelings for somebody else. And she's like, are you kidding me? So a good majority of this book is him groveling, him pining after her, him trying to win her back. He stops his partying ways, and it's just really beautiful to see. She's very headstrong and like saying like, absolutely not, like I'm not getting back together with you, which I feel like that was a little extreme. Like for that age especially, I feel like you would have just like kind of given in after a little bit, but I don't know, good for Grace, I guess. She goes on a whole journey with her mom, which was really nice to see, but my favorite part was Logan's familial, I guess, background and like how he's dealing with it. He has an alcoholic father, so I guess there's a trigger warning for that, but it was really beautiful to see how him and his brother kind of come together, how they deal with that kind of issue in their lives, and I loved it. It was so good. 5 stars. All right, guys. Last book on my list is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin, and I feel like everybody is going to be upset with me because I did not love this book. I gave this book 3 stars. It is a historical pirate romance. It's literally any trigger that you can think of is in this book. And I watched someone recently who said that this was dark but not very dark. And I'm like, where? Where is this not very dark? There's rape, there's torture, there's murder, there's suicide, there's captive, there's literally everything, and it was just too much for me. Like I like a dark book, and I can deal with these topics if I feel like in the end and throughout my hero and heroine are treating each other with love and respect at the base of everything. But the heroes, first of all, lie to her this entire book. Let me back up. Let me tell you what it's about first. Our main character, Bennett. She is a pirate captain. She comes to be this because her father and her mother, so her father was a pirate and her mother was like a lady of society. So they had her, and her mother didn't want to be with him because it would ruin her place in society. Makes sense, I guess, for the time. So in the start of the book, she's kind of like spending time with her dad and talking about how her mother is trying to get her to marry this creepy old guy to secure her place in society. Bennett is not with this. I think she's like 14 at the time, which is crazy, but I guess it's a historical, so there's that. Her father, after their meeting, her father is murdered. Then Bennett is found or something. It's like kind of fuzzy in my mind. Like she's found out after this by the guy that she's like supposed to be married to. And he's like, what are you doing out here? Like, come with me. He basically tries to rape her and she fucking kills him. Her mother finds her and her mother's like, oh my God, wow. Like they have a very, like, it doesn't seem like a very great relationship because her mother wants her to be like in society and she doesn't. Like she wants to be with her dad. She wants to be like her dad. So this happens and then her mother's like, oh my God, where's your dad? And she's like, you knew that I was talking to my dad? And she's like, yeah, of course. Then I guess her mother goes and finds her dad, like leaves Bennett there, just like traumatized and alone. Bennett eventually finds her mom standing on top of the ledges and watches her mom jump off and kill herself. So we're off to a good start. Fast forward, her dad ended up leaving her or gifting her his pirate ship, so she is a pirate captain. She is being hunted by a pirate hunter, like in like the Royal Navy or something, or like hunting pirates, I guess. Her whole thing of being a pirate is she's searching for this treasure that her dad like left her keys to or something, and she's also like freeing slaves and like for good. She does evil stuff like murder and torture and that whole thing. Like she is a pirate. You don't see her being the badass that they're like portraying her to be. This whole book, almost this entire book, she is in captivity. And I'm like, how is she this bad bitch? How has she been this bad? Like, I haven't seen that. She's literally been captive this whole fucking book. And so the guy that captures her, he's a pirate hunter. He assaults her physically in a severe way. And he is one of the heroes. No, I don't want to see that. I don't want that. I don't want that for her. And she's secretly married to somebody named Ashley. He's another pirate, so they keep their relationship a secret for their own safety, but they have a terrible relationship as well. So before she gets captured by this lord, whatever his name is, who cares, like this pirate hunter guy, she meets up with her husband after like being away for a while because they had something terrible happen on their wedding night. He finds a love letter to him and he's like, yeah, I'm in love with somebody. That it's the whole love letters like explaining how much they love them and then like breaking it off with him saying like, we're not going to keep doing this, la la la. And she's like, wow, what the fuck? So she kind of gets away from him. He tracks her back down and then she gets captured when she's like with him. Doesn't get to get captured with her, like he escapes or something. But then yeah, that whole thing with the pirate cat hunter, he like physically assaults her terribly. The heroes in this book are terrible. I hate them. They don't deserve rights. They lie to her this entire time. I think that this might be a spoiler, so just like beware, maybe a little bit of a spoiler. But I just hated this. So they're the ones that were in love. Like this pirate hunter guy is the one that loves her husband and is turned into an MMF. And I'm like, is this fucking serious? Like, I get that that can be hot, like that whole scenario, like let's do the whole three of us thing, like that can be hot, but it's not hot when the two of them have been keeping things from her, lying to her, and hurting her. Like you betrayed her, you lied to her, you physically hurt her. And then also there's scenes where like they, do this whole thing together, and then the two guys go off several times and just like talk and convene and like whisper secretly to each other. And I'm like, how is this good? I don't want to feel like a third wheel, like left out. I want everybody to be happy with everybody if that's what we're doing. So I don't know. I gave this book a very generous 3 stars, unfortunately. I am willing to try another Pam Godwin. I know she writes a lot of dark romance. This one just was absolutely not for me. But all right, guys, that's all the books I read in June. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope that you come back to watch more later from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.